Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. I'm Amber Rose, also known as the Religious Hippie. You can basically follow me on any social media platform, or you can go straight to my website at thereligioushippie.com. So today we are doing a Q&A. As always, I put the Q&A up on my Instagram. It's just easier that way. And you guys have sent in your questions. Also, I just want you guys to know, if you're looking for quality Catholic jewelry, to check out Immaculate Blessed. She has fantastic medals, rings, just necklaces, everything you can imagine. So if there's someone special in your life who you want to get some Catholic jewelry for, that's the place to go. You can click on my affiliate link in the description below for 15% off plus free shipping in the US. Okay, the first question we have is from Dinah, and she asks fashion tips. So my fashion tips, I mean, most of my fashion tips are just like modest fashion tips. They're pretty basic. I just make sure that if I'm wearing a dress or something that has spaghetti straps, I put something underneath it, whether that's a turtleneck, depending on the style of dress. Sometimes the turtleneck looks better than just a regular t-shirt. If your dress is see-through, or maybe more see-through than you would like it to be, you can wear a slip. I think this is all just common fashion advice. I don't really have anything special. I always opt for flats over high heels when I can, because high heels hurt my feet and they're really bad for your feet. I can tell you that if you're looking for specific outfits on a budget to thrift, most all of my outfits are thrifted. This sweatshirt, I don't remember if I thrifted this sweatshirt, but my pants are thrifted and they're super cute. They have like this embroidered, I don't know what you want to call it, but I thrifted them. I would suggest shopping at places like Neats Repeats, where all of the employees there are actually volunteers and all of the funds go towards domestic violence victims. But if you don't have one of those, then Goodwill or Savers works too. Our next question is from Xavier, and he says, I'm struggling to find a job. I'm a male, 23, Roman Catholic, praying to Mother Mary daily. What to do? Nothing seems to be going right. Nobody really likes my answer when I say this. I don't even like this answer when I'm going through stuff like this, because when we're struggling, we really want to be affirmed in our struggle. But God is allowing this suffering for a reason. Whether it's a lesson to lean on Him, for you to trust Him more, or maybe there's something that you need to change in your life before something changes. Maybe there's a certain sin you have to work on, or a certain virtue you need to work on. The list is pretty endless, to be honest. I highly suggest going to adoration and asking God for clarity, because God does know better than us. And so I think in hindsight, you'll see later on that this was all for a reason, and God was holding you back from maybe something that would be more detrimental to your spiritual life, or maybe a job that would take you away from God, maybe something of that nature. I don't know for sure, obviously, but those are some things to definitely think about. I would take it to adoration, and if you have a spiritual director, I would also take it to spiritual direction. Our next question comes from Francis, and he asks, what is my favorite saint? I feel like I've answered this question actually a lot, but St. Francis. Our next question is from, I'm sorry, I can't pronounce it, but I know that in Latin it means disciple of God. What prayer or spiritual books do you use? So I'll put pictures up because I don't have them on me, obviously. But I love the Imitation of Christ. I also love the Student Prayer Book. It's really, really good. Lots of great meditations in there and prayers. I use that mainly in the morning more than I do at night, because the examination of conscience in there is a little bit confusing personally. I feel like it's very vague and there's a lot of blanket terms. So I still prefer the examination of conscience from the Bulldog Catholic. However, I will say those are the two main books I read from. And then also I have a devotion to Our Lady of Sorrows, so I have that booklet too. Our next question comes from Lacey, and she says, starting OCIA, how can I best prepare myself for receiving baptism and other sacraments? This is great. Congratulations. Welcome home. I am so glad that you made this decision. And to everyone who is in RCIA, actually, just a couple Sundays ago, I met a man who recognized me in the parking lot. Hi, if you're watching, I'm so sorry I forgot your name, but he's actually going through OCIA right now as well. And I was just like, wow, this is fantastic. This is so beautiful. So many people are coming back into the faith, and I think we really need to focus on that and focus on that positivity. So anyways, hi, if you're watching. If you want to prepare for the sacrament even more, my biggest advice is to ask questions. If you have a question about anything, ask the person who is doing OCIA. They're called they're the same thing. They're the same thing. And sometimes you don't always get the best teachers for OCIA classes, unfortunately. who can't answer your questions. So if you do have certain questions, definitely ask a priest. I also suggest resources such as Catholic Answers. If you have a question about the Catholic faith, just type in your question and then put Catholic Answers at the end and an article will pop up. They have articles literally about anything and everything. I'd also suggest listening to Relevant Radio. It's 9:50 a.m. in the Chicagoland area, but you can also get the app and you can play it from the app. Trending with Timmery, Patrick Madrid, and Drew Mariani are my top 3 favorites to listen to. They also have a Fulton Sheen moment hour thingy on Sundays around 9 a.m. I think my time. But yeah, you can learn a lot just by listening to Relevant Radio and looking at articles from Catholic Answers. Ascension Presents is another great resource. They're mainly on YouTube, but they also have an Instagram page that you can follow. They have a lot of great information. So biggest advice for you is to just learn. If you have any questions, ask those questions, find answers, because it's really important that you understand exactly what is taught by the Catholic Church, because when you understand what is taught, there's so much more richness that you can get from Catholicism. So that would be my advice. And also welcome home. If I didn't say that already, I might have already said that. Sorry. Our next question comes from Braddy, and they ask, any advice on people who struggle with scrupulosity and OCD? Scrupulosity can look different for a lot of people. This is something over the years of doing my ministry that I have noticed. My scrupulosity differs greatly from my fiance's scrupulosity, and my friend's scrupulosity differs from mine. And so we have a lot of different things that we get scrupulous about. But scrupulosity basically is what some people consider to be religious OCD. Feeling like you've committed a mortal sin, but not really knowing if you have or if you haven't, not being sure if you're in the state of grace, not sure if the penance you were given was actually accurate. All of these things. Basically, it's doubt in a way. And it is a form of pride. People don't actually realize it, but Father Ripperger did an entire video on it. I'm going to link it below for you guys because I think it's really important for scrupulous people to understand exactly what scrupulosity is. And Father Ripperger is going to do a way better job of explaining it than I ever will. So I'm going to link that video below for you guys. My main advice is to get a spiritual director. Do not priest shop when you do confession. This is basically when a priest gives you a certain penance, you don't feel like the penance is strong enough, or you don't trust in God's forgiveness, so you go to a different priest for different penance and confess the same sins. Do not do that. We need to trust in God's mercy, so I highly suggest learning about the Divine Mercy, St. Faustina Kowalska, and then Divine Mercy image. Keep one in your house. Make sure that you are praying the Divine Mercy chaplet and asking God for the grace to understand and heal from your scrupulosity. It's a lot easier said than done, but at the end of the day, we really do need to be asking God for his grace to help us through these issues. Satan will really like to grasp onto those who have scrupulosity and make their scrupulosity even worse. We also see this when he tries to target people with mental health issues and make their mental health issues even worse than they are, because he knows that if he can get the soul into despair, they fall from God. And yeah, so pray. Make sure that you are keeping up with the sacraments. Make sure that you understand the difference between mortal and venial sin. I'll run through it really quick, but mortal sin is when there is grave matter. You consent to doing that grave matter, knowing that it's grave matter, and you have full knowledge of what you are doing. People ask if their sexual dreams are mortal sin, or if their dreams in general, if it's something bad, is a mortal sin. Like let's say you murder someone in your dream. No, dreams are not even venially sinful. Is that a word, venially? We'll go with yes. So don't confess dreams because you do not have full knowledge, full consent of the matter because you're in a dream. You can't control it. But if there's something that led to that dream, like you watch pornography or maybe you watch sexually explicit content, you need to confess that because pornography is a grave sin and it really damages the soul and the mind. And so we really need to stay on top of that. So those 3 things constitute a mortal sin. If one or more of those things is missing, it's a venial sin. If all 3 of those things are present, it is a mortal sin. Definitely watch that video that I'm going to link below from Father Ripperger. I think it'll help a lot. Our next question is from Ivan, and he says, do you ever feel like giving up? Not your faith, but the work in evangelizing. I wouldn't say completely giving up. I have definitely had rough moments where I need a break and I need to take a step back because spiritually it can be draining, and because our phones and screens in general are somewhat of a portal spiritually, it's very easy to become disheartened and to even get cursed on social media. It's very crazy. I'd do a whole video another time. I don't really have enough time to get into that. I definitely have had times where I want to quit, you know, like we all have that moment where we just rage quit. We're like, oh my gosh, I'm so done. I can't do this anymore. Like, this is just so crazy. Whether it's because of hate I've received or because of something I've said being taken out of context or because the workload is just really stressful sometimes. You know, there have been moments where I'm just like, I quit, I'm done, you know, but I never mean it. It's a human moment of weakness and it's a human moment of frustration. And I recognize that, and I know I don't mean it because I'm always back in the saddle the next day, you know, ready to go again because God gives me those graces. But we definitely need to understand that we need breaks. I'm still human. I'm not perfect. I don't claim to be perfect. And there are going to be things that I do or say that people are going to disagree with. People are still dragging me through the mud on Twitter. Happens all the time. And it's okay. Honestly, it's okay. I'm fine with it, but I think it's dumb for us to think that it doesn't get to us either because we are human. And even though I do have a sense of peace about those types of things, like I said in my other video, I am still human. And sometimes things do hit me the wrong way if I'm having a bad day already. And so I definitely think I've had moments of wanting to give up, but obviously I never would. And somebody else asked when I get married if my ministry is going to kind of take a back seat. I don't plan on that at all. I still plan on doing my ministry as I am now. So yeah, unless something happens, I might have to cut back a little bit here or there, but it'll eventually pick up again. I mean, moving is going to be difficult and we might be moving a few times, so I'm not really sure yet. I'm going to try and keep it the same as much as I can. Our next question is from Justin, and he says, how to not feel anxious defending pro-life stance in a room full of pro-choice people. I would say if you feel anxious about it, don't do it just yet. You need to know your battle strategies before you fight in battle. So when it comes to these issues, I highly suggest you don't just learn the pro-life side, but you also learn the pro-choice side. Because in order to combat what they believe, you have to know what they actually believe. And every pro-choice person is actually going to believe something different. I've noticed that. There are some people that are just off the walls, but then there's other people who genuinely just do not know and they've been lied to. But always approach it from a place of compassion. I also highly suggest Persuasive Pro-Life. It's a book by Trent Horn. That is a fantastic book. It really helps you go through the arguments and how to respond to pro-choice arguments. But my main thing is do not do it if you are not prepared just yet or you're not confident in the material yet, because it could hurt the pro-life side. And honestly, it could just be accidental, but we want to know the material before we start speaking about it. And maybe you do know the material, I'm just guessing here, because I always assume that if like you're not comfortable with the material, you just don't know enough of it. But maybe you just have social anxiety, honestly. And maybe there's another way that you could speak about the pro-life movement that doesn't involve being around a lot of people, you know, speaking out online, those types of things. Because I also have social anxiety. So speaking out in to a group of people who don't agree with me is, I kind of want to die if I think about that. So maybe that's the situation. I'm not sure, but I mean, definitely keep fighting for the pro-life movement and learn all that you can. Okay, and our last question comes from Magnificent Nature, and they ask, how did you and Max meet? We met at St. John Campus at the young adult group, which is called Peter and Paul, because my best friend was going and she really wanted me to go with so that we could do it together because we do things together. Obviously, we're best friends. Duh. So I met him because he recognized me from my ministry, and actually his very close friend, Danny, who is now in the seminary out in Washington, D.C., introduced Max to my ministry. So that was really cool. So Max knew who I was, and I met him at the church and he recognized me, and I was like, oh, he's really nice and different. Because usually when I would go to church gatherings and things, especially the guys would kind of try and corner me or instantly ask me out or try to see if I was, you know, dating somebody. And that gets really annoying really fast. And so I was kind of taken aback when Max introduced himself. He didn't even shake my hand, you know, or maybe I shook out his hand, and then he just kind of left me alone. He was just like, all right, well, cool. And then we all went outside for a bonfire, and he was playing chess with a brother friend of ours. I went over there to see what they were doing, and it was like really fun. And I don't know, he was just very different, and I thought he was really cute. And then I saw him the week after that, and then I went on Matt Frad's show, and if you guys remember, Max is actually the one who called Matt a boomer in his super chat, which is like really funny. Oh, that's good.
This person said, who's a super chat, Maximilian, Amber and Chloe agreed with me that Matt is a boomer.
Little did I know. that he would be my fiance one day and my husband. But yeah, basically we met at a young adult group. He was really nice. He wasn't weird at all. He let me kind of initiate the friendship. And I think a lot of people can learn from that, but it really depends on the person, because I feel like some women like that directness. They like being pursued in that way. I did not. I do not like the directness. I'm like, you're a stranger, stranger danger, strange behavior, danger. So when people would come like directly up to me and try and ask me out or see if I had a boyfriend or something, I would be like, but some women like that. I'm going to be honest. So I don't know. But I'm also an introvert, and I don't trust people very easily because of my line of work and what I do. I don't let just anybody into my friend circle. My friend circle is extremely small, and it's to keep my own peace. I just added one person to my friend circle in the last 4 years, and I love her. She's great. Grace. Shout out to Grace, who's such a cutie. And we just connect really, really well. The main thing being is that my friend group is really small, and if you have a small friend group, do not be upset about it. Honestly, it's better than having a big friend group. You need to protect your peace. You need to take care of yourself. And that's something that I had to learn. And once I did, I was like, wow, I have a lot more peace in my life and not so much drama. And you know what? That is what I wanted. I don't care about the drama anymore. I just want some peace. And that's what I got. That was a longer explanation than you needed, and I kind of went off on a tangent, but that's what these videos are for, right? With all that being said, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will talk to you guys in the next one. Bye!